I'm Eric Hollenbeck. Welcome to Tales from the Ox. Hi folks, I'm Eric. As you know, I went through a pretty rough stretch this winter with Viv and all, and I found myself searching for funny memories that I had throughout that stretch, and hanging my hat on those. And I'd like to share a couple of those that came to mind with you. This one happened in Vietnam, and it was about halfway through my tour, resupply day. And as I told you, we spent 322 days straight in the jungle, never came out. And every 7 days, we would, the demo guys would blow the trees using C4 out of an area in the jungle, and enough for a helicopter to come down, called a landing zone. We'd set up a perimeter around that area, and they would come in and bring food and ammunition and medicine for the medics. And then we'd come back and divvy up the food, and they'd leave, and we'd come back and divvy up the food and all that. Well, this one was a different resupply, more elaborate, let me put it that way, than normal. We hadn't walked into an ambush for the 2 days before, and this day we had no ambush. This was a pretty quiet area that we were in, and so they made this more elaborate resupply. We still had the gunships, helicopter gunships circling around overhead and everything, but it was pretty mellow. Now I have to tell you that on resupply day, every radioman in the company had a problem. We couldn't stand up. Once we had our packs full, once we had the rucksacks full of food, we're carrying 28 more pounds than we normally do, and we're already maxed out. We couldn't stand up. Once we were up, we were fine. We couldn't stand up. So what we would do is get our rucksacks all packed up on the ground, everything's set, and then we'd lay down on the ground and wiggle into them, and then just sit there and wait for the rest of the company to do all their whatever they did, company kind of things. And then when we were gonna move, then 2 gunners would come over and grab your arms and get you upright. And like I said, once we were upright, we were okay, but we couldn't get up. So this resupply day, they brought the choppers in, but then they brought more choppers. And one of the things that they brought in was beer. And they brought 1 can of beer for each man. And these are real beers. This is not olive drab green. It's not military beer. This is a real beer like you would buy at home. It seems to me it was Pabst. I don't remember exactly what, but I remember just looking at the can and moving the can around and looking at the brightness, and it was amazing. Well, this particular day, the lieutenant's radioman and me were together, and we were sitting there gonna get into our we were in our packs, and then they said that there's more to get, and we got out and went over and got our beers, and came back. The medic, St. James, he didn't want his. He was a conscientious objector, and I think his religion or something, he didn't want his beer. So now we had 3 beers between the two of us. There was a problem though, Houston. The beers were ambient temperature. And the ambient temperature outside was 102 degrees. So the beers were 102 degrees. Now I can drink warm beer. Warm beer is fine. This wasn't warm. 102 degrees is hot beer. And it was a dilemma. Damn, I can't remember the other radioman's name. His call sign was 2-1. Can't even picture his face. He was KIA couple 3 weeks later, and I can't remember his name, so I'll call him 2-1. And his mom had sent him grape Kool-Aid, packets of grape Kool-Aid, and he had this grape Kool-Aid. So he and I figured out a way around this problem that we had with this hot beer. And what we did is we took a helmet, probably mine, and we took the inner liner out. See, that's a plastic inner liner. I didn't have this outer skin on my helmet, but then that gives you a steel pot, see? That's a steel helmet there. Then we sterilized it with our shirt cuff, see? Like that. And now it's all sterile. Now it's completely sterilized. Then we poured all 3 beers in, and then we poured a packet of grape Kool-Aid in. And we made ourselves wine, because people can drink hot wine. That was what we thought. People do that. And we would pass this helmet back and forth drinking this concoction that we made. Oh my God, it was bad. I can't tell you how bad it was. And we would take a big swig and look at the other one and go, that's great, that's great. Then, same resupply, same day, we're all hunkered into our rucksacks, got our rucksacks on, waiting for this all to get done, whatever they're doing. Well, turns out we had to get out of the rucksack again and go back into the landing zone because they had brought another helicopter with a paymaster and his private. And they had set up a little table thing. And they were having each man come up and get his pay. We're in the middle of the jungle. What the hell good is money to us? It's just something more to carry. They brought, and the Army knew that because they gave you your pay and an envelope. and then you could write your mom or your wife's name on the envelope and the address and seal your pay into it, and then send that out with a helicopter when it left with a paymaster. He'd take all the envelopes with him. Well, 2-1 and I was 2-5, 2-1 and I, with our little buzz that we had going on from our beer wine, we just thought that was hilarious. And we couldn't quit giggling throughout this entire thing, that we're getting paid money in the middle of the jungle. We just, maybe it had to have been there, but it was really, really funny. Oh my gosh. We made it through the rest of the day, no ambush. We made it to the hilltop. Piece of cake. That was a nice memory. Hope you enjoyed.